welcome to my channel. It has been a long time since I have uploaded anything on the channel. I'm not sure if you guys want an update of exactly why, but if you do, please leave it in the comments below. I'll probably upload something of the sorts. But essentially, it was Ramadan a month ago, I know, and since then I just got really tired with my training and tons of things that were happening around me, so I didn't have a chance to actually edit anything. I did film stuff because I was receiving so many requests for the MSRA prep and the interview prep and a lot of things essentially, and I did film some things but I never got a chance to edit them. And then I also haven't filmed in a while, so today's video might be a bit shaky. It might not be as smooth as some of my other videos because I've actually forgotten how I do this. But yeah, so I've been receiving the same question for a few weeks now, and I thought it is high time that I actually make a video for that particular topic, and hence today's video is about what to think about when you're joining the NHS for the first time directly into training. Obviously, if you haven't seen the videos where I tell you not to do this, it's absolutely fine. I know that the job ratio system and saturation and things have really made people go and do this desperate move of trying to get into training immediately. And most people, actually, the only routes you have is GP or Psych, because that's without an interview and it's through the MSRA exam. So most of you are actually going to get into GP training. Or some of you might actually end up in Psych. Psych is a nice field. I've always wanted to think about it. I actually would have become one. Thankfully I'm not, but I could have been. So I understand the temptation of getting into training directly and saving your ears, and I'm not going to be saying why it's a horrible decision or why you shouldn't think about doing this, because obviously if you're watching this video, you want tips on how to survive this transition, and I'm going to try to make this video as optimistic as possible. And that is the goal of the video, to give you guys enough courage to be able to do this, because if you're watching this video, chances are you're actually in training and you're going to join the NHS very soon, and that would be your first job. We'll do points, but because I told you guys I've not filmed in a while, so I don't have a structure to this video yet. But I'll start from you guys coming to the country and then joining the NHS. These are two separate things, and you need to think about those when you are coming towards immigration, basically. So the first things first, we're going to talk about, you have obviously gotten the training, blah blah blah, things are sorted. What is the next step? So they'll be sending you a course, COS. You will be receiving an email from sponsorship by NHSE, or I don't know if they've changed their website name. Previously it was sponsorship HEE, but I think now it's sponsorship NHSE. Regardless, you'll be receiving an email from them. You are then going to make an account and you're going to upload all of your documents. This includes your medical degree, the offer letter, bits and bobs. And it's a very self-explanatory website account thing which you will do. Please keep a lookout on your emails. It may go to junk, so make sure that if you're somebody who's not in UK and or even if you are in UK and you do require a COS, which is a certificate of sponsorship, then you will be receiving an email from the sponsorship which the training system provides. So make sure that you make the account, put your documents in, and then wait for the COS to come. Once the COS comes, you will then apply for a visa. And obviously, if you are a single person and you're applying for yourself, it's again quite easy. If you are somebody who has dependents, then you will use the same course which has been issued to you to apply for your dependents. And essentially, you will just, it's very self-explanatory. You can search internet about it, go on to the website of UKVI, and it's quite easy to go through it. If you are somebody who is actually in the UK and will be applying from UK, I would suggest to apply with the urgent fees, because it gets delayed a lot, okay? And if you're somebody who's actually outside the UK, then yeah, you can go with the normal route. It takes around 2 or 3 months to come, but for you, they will expedite it once you get your course. Ideally, if you can afford it, I'd say go for it, because if you don't have your course, you don't have the visa, you can't come and join training. So take those things in mind, and I think it's very important to have a good timeline and good enough time period to, sort all of this out. To do next, you've got your visa, you know that you're coming to the UK, you need to book your flights, you need to book your accommodation. So essentially, Hospitals generally have hospital accommodations, so you can search around your hospital and see which accommodations are there. Usually hospitals try to provide you accommodation if you're coming to the country for the first time, because every accommodation, regardless of hospital or whatever, requires a 3-month or 6-month, sometimes yearly or 3-yearly history of your finances and your address and things like that. So it's easier to come to the hospital accommodation because they don't ask these things. It's much easier to shift into a hospital accommodation directly from a new country than to shift into privately owned individual rental places, which are usually they're done by companies, but there's always a landlord, and those are harder to get. Obviously, if you're with family, I would recommend that you try to get a house instead of a flat. That means no hospital accommodation for you. And obviously the next question is, how do we do that if you're not actually in the UK? So ideally, if you're in the UK, I would suggest to do viewings, see what you're going for, and then pay the deposit, and then obviously think about moving. If you're not in the country, you don't have that option. So again, it all comes to funds, depends on how many funds you have. If you can come up before your training starts, for 2 weeks before, you can come and stay in a hotel, go to do viewings, and then finally get accommodation. Much easier, safer, saves you a lot of hassle and stress, but it does require a lot of money to live in a hotel. So again, think about it, what your circumstances are. And I mean, my personal experience, I was lucky enough to stay in a hospital accommodation, and then after a year I moved out. Even then, there's a lot of background checks that were needed, because again, I was quite young, and age, being single, and previous history, employment, things like that are asked during these shifts of addresses. So make sure that you have stuff with you. The other thing for people coming from Pakistan, which is where I'm from, you will require to have a police certificate. I think better to just check Nasir's blog. I'll link the blog down below, Nasir's Journey blog. That's where I got all my guidance for coming directly to the UK. But I got into a trust rate job and not a training post, so things are slightly different when you're trying to get into training directly. So, but again, read the Nasir's Journey blog for immigration to come to UK. The steps are all there, and that should help you into getting into whatever you want to get. Also, whatever hospital you're joining, email them to get a letter of something proving the fact that you're going to be receiving this much salary, because you cannot open an account without that letter. So make sure that you have that. Yeah, so now that you've sorted it, you've landed, you've gotten accommodation, and now you're supposed to join training. What I tell normally people who have gotten this guidance from me before, who I know personally, usually I tell them to come a week before, to go to the department and ask them to give you a shadowing period. They're not obligated to give you a shadowing period when you join training. It is different for trust rate of doctors. It is different for training doctors. If you're joining as a training, you'll have a day of induction, and that's it. There is no shadowing period. You're not shown the ropes of NHS, and you're expected to do everything like a normal transition from F2 to SHO level 4 training would do. But that does not happen for you because you're in a new country, and chances are you're coming from a third world country where you don't know computer systems, where you don't know IT, where you don't have logins. There's a lot of things that you will not be having. So what I would suggest is to contact the department you're going to be joining, and then essentially ask them if you could actually come for a week. They don't have to pay you. They will not be paying you for this. So don't think that, oh, if I'm shadowing, they'll pay me. No. This is for your own mental peace and stress relieved induction, that you go in a week before and shadow. Just shadow people around. Find somebody who can show you the ropes of NHS. You don't need to have logins at this point. You don't need to do anything. You just need to see everything, essentially. And in a week's time, you'll know how patients are seen. You know how things are done. And by the point of your induction, then you will actually get hospital ID cards. You'll get your logins. You'll get a lot of things on the induction day. You will know the system-ish. And it won't affect you so much so, which it does people, mentally. It can be challenging physically as well, depending on what department you're joining. ED itself is a fish market. It can take a big toll on your mental everything. Essentially, there's a lot of cognitive load in ED. And if you're coming alone, it can be really scary and it can become quite demanding quite quickly. Make sure that you're mentally prepared for this, that it's going to be tough, it's not going to be easy, and be optimistic and be like, I can do this. I am actually traveling from one country to another country and I have the capability of doing this. A lot of positive affirmations when you are going through this transition process is going to help you. Because obviously if you're coming alone, you won't be having a support system unless you're one of those lucky few people who actually have a support system. It is very hard to get an immediate support system. And then again, you know, you're doing this, okay? You can do this is all I will say. I didn't have any support system. I'm a big introvert. Hard for anybody to believe at work now. But people who knew me from my first job know how introverted I was. I refused to make any friends. I didn't think I needed any friends. Because I had people, you know, I used to talk to them and stuff. Back home, back in my other country where I used to live. But essentially, I think, you know what, you do need friends. You need a social circle, and you'll realize what kind of friends and social circle you need. So try to surround yourself during this initial very, very vulnerable period of your life with extremely positive people, not people who are negative, not people who are pessimistic. Positive people will give you positive energies, even if the life is going like shit. You miss home, you miss everything about the comfort. You might not be missing home, I might be wrong, I never missed home. But the comfort of knowing your surroundings is something you do miss. Try to learn how to cook in the time period you have before coming to a new country. Try to do all of the adult things that are needed to survive as an adult. So if you can learn to drive in the next 3 months before you're shifting to the UK in August, try to do that. If you can learn how to cook, if you can learn how to clean, if you can learn how to do every single house chore possibly known to men, that would be your lifesaver. So train yourself for all of this, because once you're in training, there isn't much safety netting regards with these things. So that is what I would give you. My biggest advice would essentially be to know how to do things by yourself. I didn't have those problems because alhamdulillah, I've been raised very well by extremely incredible human beings who are my parents. So I knew almost everything. I didn't need to learn many things. But I saw people who struggled really hard for months and years. And that can make you depressed. If you don't know how to make your favorite meals, you're going to be depressed. If you don't know how to walk, drive, use different kinds of transport, you are going to be depressed. And that has nothing to do with the NHS. I see people blaming the NHS, but actually it's you. And yeah, I'm blaming you right now because you have time to train yourself. So it is not the NHS that's repressing you. It is your inadequacy of being an adult. It might sound really harsh, but from what I've seen, from what I've guided people, and people I've cooked for and did things for, I feel like if you're able to do adult chores quickly and efficiently, then the hit of joining the NHS, the hit of doing immigration, and the hit of a horrible rota, especially if you're doing ED or acute medicine or anything, is lesser because the rest of the things are sorted and you're able to do those. I hope this makes sense, that what I'm trying to tell you here. I know a lot of advice should be regarding what happens in the NHS, how do you work an IT computer. No matter how much I explain, that is something that's called learning on the job. You will learn it on the job. What I'm telling you is how to live in a new country, and how to make it easier for you. And I think it's much easier if you're able to function as an adult quickly, efficiently, for yourself and your family. And then it becomes easier because the only thing that you'll be learning at that point would be the NHS. So your focus would be the NHS and working as a doctor in the UK instead of, oh my god, I don't know how to cook, I don't know how to drive, I don't know how to take transport, I don't know how to Google Maps things, you know? And the hit also becomes less if you actually take the time out to go to the hospital that you're going to be joining and, you know, look around for a week. Again, the hit is less if you come 2 weeks earlier, find an accommodation that you like, and live there. Obviously, these are all the tips that I could think of that would help you to transition from living in one country to another and joining the NHS. If you guys want specific specialty related advice, I can make those if you want, depending on if I've rotated in those specialities. But these would be the gold tips that I would give anybody coming to a new country, because essentially at the end of the day, you're not just a doctor, you are a human being who has needs, and you should be able to fulfill those needs before leaving the comfort of your home, your parents, or partners, or whatever. So think about it as a holistic thing, a holistic video telling you that it's not just joining the NHS, it is moving to a new country and sorting all the things that are required when you move to a new country. I hope this video helps you guys. If it did, give the video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And keep up with the comments and the requests. It really does encourage me to make videos, even though I haven't filmed in a while. And I do try to comment back, and I do try to reply back to your Instagram messages as well. Those of you who I've responded to obviously are aware of that, but for those of you who have questions, and if I haven't responded on comments, I will definitely respond on my Instagram. And take care. Best of luck and welcome to UK. It's a nice country. You'll enjoy it.